land to clamber on, and digging footholds that could prevent it. It's a shame, 'cause you know we could be laughing. It's a shame, 'cause you know we could be laughing.
Okay. We are in the Roman Anton Podcast studio with John Lindsay. Hello, John.
Hello, Roman.
I don't know the number. It's 37, 38, 39, but we're approaching 1,000 slowly.
All right.
All right. So thank you for being in the early stages. Life's a journey, not the destination.
Oh, for sure.
I'll quote Aerosmith, since this is a music session, because I'm sure that's one of your primary influences.
We'll get into all that.
All right, good.
We got so much to get into. Also, that is a disconcerting
Spinny
stack of paper you got there.
Yeah.
I've never had anyone research me that much. I'm curious what you found.
I've already disclosed some of my secrets. As the top of the head is your Instagram motif. So
yes.
Forehead and up.
Just the forehead and up. It was, so that came about, I went to Taiwan in 2019, and my friend told me to take more holiday pictures because I just never do. And I hate taking selfies. So in my little spark of genius / laziness and just trying to find a way around it to please everyone, just take a forehead selfie. It's really quick. You don't have to spend ages just looking at yourself in the camera and then going over to see how you look and if you're blinking, because
the forehead selfie.
Just the forehead selfie, yeah. Like, you're at this place, here's me in the picture without having to look at myself too much.
Then I saw another one of yours saying I was in blank for 2 weeks, and this is the only picture I took. Was it Brisbane, Australia? Somewhere foreign.
Was it someone holding a glass of water?
Not sure, but I'm starting to establish some of the trends. You don't like to take photos.
Yeah. Right.
You would call it laziness. You may just not like to do it.
Yeah, because I was thinking, if it's the photo I'm thinking of, it's someone in really dark lighting just holding a glass of water.
Yes.
That was Bali 2014. Because I saw that guy, say a week ago for the first time in years. And yeah, I remembered that photo and I couldn't remember where it was to dig it up. So it is there. It is diggable.
So. Yeah. Mr. Barley, if you're listening, you can go back on his Instagram, early days.
Yeah. It's
Okay, well, welcome. We're in Bangkok. You've been here a while?
Yes. So on and off since 2012.
2012, so 12 years, 10 years on and off, roughly.
So it's been, so I lived here for a year and then I left. I was back for 2 years,
Okay.
So I've lived here 5 years total so far, and I moved back here for good, hopefully.
Okay.
3 months ago.
Great. Welcome back.
Thank you. It's nice to be back.
Well, I'm glad with the way you're playing that you're here and not somewhere else, so I can go out and see you when you play, because I had a fun John Lindsay week listening.
All right.
Good. Let's back up a little bit. I would say this to you, and if it's an insult, I apologize. You have an accent to me that suggests you're not from where I'm from, which is the United States.
Not from yours. I'm specifically not from Wisconsin.
There we go.
I've heard bits about Wisconsin. I know there's a Door County, and
that's where Matt Fisher's from.
That's the one, yeah.
He's an earlier podcast, and then we went to his restaurant and had a sort of reminiscing.
Lots of cheese.
Yes, cheese, curds. So you are from somewhere else?
Yes. So I grew up in a town just north of Newcastle, in the UK. Newcastle upon Tyne, the only Newcastle, as far as I'm concerned.
That's where Max is from, right?
Yeah. He's a similar neck of the woods.
And he calls himself a Geordie?
That's right.
I don't.
So, do I call I don't tend to call myself a Geordie because, like, my accent is so faded for a start. It's so diluted. So I've got this generic northern thing now, which I don't know, and it shifts a bit as well. So when I'm around Geordie friends and I've had a couple of drinks, the Geordiness comes out a little bit more. When I'm living in Thailand, it doesn't, because Thais don't do Geordie accents very well.
Right, and
neither
so
do other English people.
The Geordie fades into what? Just normal English accent, which there's no such thing?
Just this kind of, Yeah, sort of Northern English. Sort of Northern English thing.
Okay.
I'll still say water.
Right. So it's just English variation to me, but there is a Geordie one, I guess. Now we've learned that. Max would confirm that or not. And so you were born and raised there, Newcastle on Tyne?
Yeah, upon Tyne.
Upon Tyne, right. Oh, right. And I spelled that wrong. It's Thyne.
Tyne.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, well, it's all right.
No,
I haven't lived there in ages. It's fine.
Well, I worry myself that I'm not learning from my own podcast, so that's a burden to put on other people, because I did spell that when Max's was out.
Well, yeah, but no, I was born and raised around there. Left when I was 18, went to uni, and then it was in my third year of uni that I came to Thailand for the first time. That was a placement year.
Really? So scholastic placement year, or job, or both, or something?
Bit of both. So my undergrad degree was in disaster management.
Wow.
Which is a real thing.
Huh.
I hadn't really heard of it much before I'd decided to do it.
Makes sense by description.
Yeah. Then I interned here with the Asian Disaster Preparedness Center. The work was fine. I really liked the city.
Bangkok.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And by then I'd started playing music. So when I first played music, it was by accident, really, as a live performance.
Yikes!
I used to be mostly an electric player. Like I learned the basics when I was a kid. I think I was 7 when I first picked up a guitar. In my teens, I became mostly an electric player. Didn't realize at the time that I was actually quite good. Just never really had the confidence. And then got into acoustic a little bit. When I was 18, me and a few friends were at a pub which happened to have an open mic night on. And they said, go and get up and play a song. We'll all buy you a pint each if you do.
So where's uni? Is this at uni?
Oh, yeah, this was in Coventry.
Coventry.
Yeah.
That sounds like a place in London.
No, Midlands.
Oh, okay.
Covent Garden, you might be thinking of.
Sorry, folks. Sorry, the folks from Covent Gardens and Coventry, and for mixing you up.
That's how they won't be watching.
And so the Midlands is from if I know my Dungeons and Dragons history. No, I don't know where Midlands is.
Where is it? Right. So I guess. Right. Where I'm from north of the Wall, if that helps.
There we go. That's because that's Daenerys.
That's
where her dragon died.
That's Yes, it is. But so I'm north of Hadrian's Wall.
Oh, jeez. Tough upbringing.
Yeah.
In uni. So the open mic was actually out in the cold.
Yeah, and it was full of undead. Very receptive
audience. All right, so open mic at uni in Coventry. And so uni just for me is 18 to 22 in age limit. It's sort of after high school, what I'd call high school. So that last.
Yeah, so I was there at 18 to 22 pretty much.
And so I'm sorry to interrupt your narrative because it's interesting to me because disaster preparedness, I think is what you said. So my school upbringing in the U.S. has bachelors of something. So it's a bachelor's of art, bachelor's of science, or you're in math or computer science bachelor's, and then you have those. What was school were you in for that? Was it?
That was Bachelor of Science.
Okay, so so you had to have math courses and other things as part of the curriculum, or?
It was not with this one. No, I mean. I'd done maths previously at A level.
Yeah.
For this one, I think it was quite geography based.
Okay.
So then there was a bit of sort of earth sciences. There's a bit of human geography.
Right, those count as sciences.
And
yeah.
And then there were a few different branches of it as well. So you could go into sort of business continuity if you wanted to, which didn't really interest me. Human and earth sciences, I would say.
Okay, and so you're studying for that at uni, and then you're heading towards open mics.
Well, no, we headed to the pub, which just happened. That's more the uni culture, really.
There we go.
You go to the pub, but it happened to have an open mic on.
Yeah. Okay, sorry, I'm confused.
Yeah, I got up, I played Wish You Were Here, and I got 7 pints for it, which is to this day the most I've ever been paid.
7 pints at 10 bob and 4 shillings a pint is...
That was exactly right. It was, mathematically, it was more than I've ever been played per song for my music since then.
Was it pitchers or gallons?
Oh, no, just
pints.
Just pints. but
must have been the good stuff.
but 7 of them.
So wish you were here.
Yeah.
All right, so I was going to ask you that. You were good in your own mind how? That you could memorize 1,000 songs, that you could play hard songs accurately, that you could sing and play, that you could dance and play, that you could had a Beyonce stick, that you could do gymnastics and play and sing. What was the thing?
The Beyonce stick will come in the next album.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
that's room for growth still.
Right.
No, when I was mainly an electric player, I was drawing from sort of like Page, Hendrix, Gilmour. I think Gilmour's a wonderful player, just the way he, not necessarily the fastest or the most technical, but I think he does things with the guitar that other people would like to do and can't quite do.
No doubt.
I became just quite a competent player, but I've always been a solo player as well.
Taught yourself?
No. So I had lessons in school when I was very young to sort of learn the basics, and then I had
Like a band class or one-on-ones?
It was in a group. It was sort of one-on-one in a group, if you will. So there's, let's say there's 5 of us in there. We do some group time, and then sort of the teacher will go around each individual as well. And then it's how much you practice at home and how much I don't know what your inclination is towards the guitar.
So did you pick your instrument?
Sort of.
Right.
So my sister is 3 years older, and when the letter came home from school that we can learn an instrument, she chose to learn the piano. And then when it was my turn, I thought, oh no, I could learn the piano. We've already got a piano here, but that would have been copying. So I was like, fine, I'll learn the guitar then.
Tuba.
It was only guitar, piano, and violin at that point.
Okay.
It was only a school in a town. It wasn't a big city.
Right.
And much easier to transport a guitar than a tuba.
And so this was the Newcastle upon Tyne.
So, yeah, the town I lived in was Cramlington, which is in Northumberland. So it's just north of Newcastle. But that was our nearest city.
Okay. And known for its music, its violin, piano, guitar trios, or that was more of a school like that's as loud as we want to get. We don't want people plugging in over here in tubas and kettle drums or whatever.
I think it was, I don't know the thought process in that. I think it was more just learn an instrument. Here's to start you off. If you want to learn more, go ahead.
One teacher for all 3?
Different ones, presumably. I only remember the guitar teacher, Mr. Cross.
Mr. Cross.
I'm not sure if he's still alive even. If you're watching,
check in on Instagram.
Mr. Cross, he's still playing. So thanks for starting me off. And same with Phil as well, my electric guitar teacher.
Phil.
I can't remember his last name. I just remember he's called Phil.
He wasn't in school though, was he?
No, that was I used to go to his house.
Yeah.
That was between sort of 14 and 17 where I used to learn with him. And
he was a whopping 19 years old teacher?
He a couple years older than 19, I think. He should still be around. I hope. I learned a lot from him. He was really good.
Who told you David Gilmour, or did you find that on your own?
I sort of, like, my music education has been sort of in pieces. So I think, Phil was sort of, once he figured out sort of the kind of things I liked anyway. So at the time I was listening to a lot of Guns N' Roses as well, which, etc. I think that's a band that I've sort of grown out of. No offense to the guys at Guns N' Roses. He would point me towards different guitarists, and I think he championed Gilmour, as it were. I would listen to, Queen, for example. I think my dad got me into Queen. Thin Lizzy. And then I remember being in HMV with my uncle, and he basically went round and just picked up, okay, let's try that. That. There
CDs?
Here's a few CDs, yeah. Okay. So it was, I think Pink Floyd was one of them. Deep Purple was another one. I can't recall any others right now, but
so 70s music.
For 70s music, yeah. I think he bought me Led Zeppelin 4 as well.
Nice. Good uncle.
Yeah.
And so this was HMV HMV Northumberland.
This will be HMV somewhere.
Okay. And they just had a collection of CDs, and he went to classic rock or what he liked and got them for you.
It was a mix. So I think I was starting to get into rock at that point. So it's just, okay, if this is what you're into, here's some things. Off you go.
And you were plugged in at this point already, and you had to get an electric guitar and an amp.
Yes, as far as I'm aware. Or maybe the two coincided. It was, yeah, it was around that era. I remember for a while I wanted to get an electric guitar before I got one. And then when I got one, I thought, okay, now I've got an electric, I can play just like these guys. And it turns out it takes a bit more practice.
Yeah.
A bit more than just having an electric guitar to be really good at it.
Yeah. And so was the, did you start on a classical or a six-stringed acoustic of some type or
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, the first guitar I had, it was a little quarter size. I mean, I was only quarter size at the time as well.
Yeah.
A little quarter size nylon string acoustic. Yeah, and that's where I learnt. I think that's sort of because I learnt finger picking. We never use a pluck or a pick in those days. So now I'm quite finger picky, and maybe that's where sort of the foundation was laid quite early, so that when I turned more to a pluck for playing electric stuff, when I head back to the acoustic, I had some dexterity already in there for finger picking.
Do you transfer that finger picking to the electric? Like would you play a familiar Rush on electric the same way? Because it looks like it might get congested if you did, because you have a lot of pinky and ring finger picking while you're stroking down, right? And so
there's a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah.
I don't know is the honest answer. I've barely touched an electric in so long.
Right.
Like particularly once I moved to Bangkok, and then pretty much since I was 20, I've been moving around quite a lot and not taking my electric with me. So I fell out of it, fell more into the acoustic. And then once I discovered I had a voice as well, I just fell more acoustic. And then, so my electric, the only electric I've ever owned, that's currently living in Liverpool with my friend Ali Horn, who produced the Familiar Rush album as well.
Right.
I took that away from my dad's house. My dad moved to Australia in 2022, and so it was like clearing out the house, like getting all my stuff. And I'm not ready to sell that guitar. I definitely don't want to get rid of it, but I just haven't got back into it yet. And I would love at some point to get my hand back into the electric, maybe just, I don't know, see how my own music evolves if I do a little bit more with it.
So you get the electric, and do you move it into the bedroom next to the bed and the stereo, and you spend inordinate amounts of time sitting with the radio playing or CDs on the spinner or whatever you call it, sort of going over songs, trying to figure them out to establish that thing you talked about, as you were told you were playing well or you thought you were playing well? Was that the nature of it, or was it playing with dudes downstairs on mom's couch or dad's couch, smoking and drinking?
No, it was definitely the former. I've always been a solo player. I haven't really, particularly in the early years, never really had the confidence to sort of put myself out there and sort of play with bands and stuff. Even what I do now is very solo based. Like what I do is what I do, and it's rehearse and it's practice, and I know what I'm doing. And if I change a little bit here, then I can adapt to it. But then if you throw other people into the mix, then I'd lose myself a little bit. But growing up, it was, like listening to songs, maybe getting a tab off the internet, and trying to play it, and then trying to sort of, if I can play these things, then I've got that sort of style that I'm developing, and then I can improvise my own stuff as well. So I used to just shredding away.
Okay, right. I mean, and maybe it's both. I looked at one of the songs on your album has a minute intro before you start singing. Right.
Which one's that again?
Well, right. So I mean, we'll check that out later. But it's there's something in your head that says there's jam time, or there's effects time, or there's sometimes you have a chant or harmonies or humming or something for an extended period. So there are break times that you've obviously contemplated filling somehow, other than just right. So
it's not just bang the lyrics out and
right. So it's just as from a listener, a casual listener with limited knowledge of how songs are made and things like that. There are some discernible traits on an album that one leapt out. It's like, oh wow, we're a minute into this song and he hasn't started singing. I thought this could very easily be sort of like a badly drawn boy musical piece for a movie soundtrack.
All right.
And then the lyrics came in. I thought it still could be, because that's what he does, right? So it's just sort of interesting to see how that shapes together. But so let's get back. So you do Wish You Were Here successfully alone, singing and playing.
Yeah, that's right.
Jamming with yourself or with your buddy, your mate?
Just jamming with myself.
So did you do the do doodle do do on your own and then sort of just strumming it like the way you strum?
So I played all of it.
Okay.
Did the doodle-doos.
Okay, so you didn't start singing "So You Wish You Can Tell" or whatever the first words are.
No, I started off. I did the intro. I wanted to. I'd learned that song sort of as it was.
So 7 pints from 7 people, or 7 pints from one largely well-endowed person who paid for the whole wad.
I wish it was.
Yeah.
No, 7 pints from 7 people.
Yeah. So it was one. That's worth 7 pints, mate.
It was
Or was it your buddy that you went in with?
It was. I was there with a group of friends.
Okay. So.
So it was more just. I think they were all willing to sacrifice a pint's worth for me to just get up and do it. And I think the main comment I remember when I got off was, "Oh, that wasn't shit."
Yeah. Was that the first time you'd played for him?
First time I played for anyone.
Yeah. And so is that your first gig?
Yep, I guess so.
Open mic. What night did you say? Tuesday?
It was it would have been on a Monday night in the Phoenix Inn in Coventry.
Monday night, Phoenix in Coventry. What year do we know?
It's got to be 2011, maybe like January 2011.
Phoenix like Phoenix.
Yeah.
Phoenix in Coventry.
2011.
Date, month, any chance?
I reckon January-ish.
So cold. So you're out with your guitar on the cold?
No, I borrowed a guitar.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I imagine you're pretty finicky.
I am these days.
And it looks like you have a nice instrument that you carry around with you as well. So I imagine you like your setup and you capo a lot. So you like your capo. So you maybe didn't have all that back then.
No, back then it was, I was unprepared for it.
Okay.
It was just sort of...
do you remember what type of guitar it was?
A brown one.
Okay, brown one.
No.
Yeah.
Can't
and so you sit down with someone else's guitar. Are you first up and are there hundreds of people or are there your mates and a couple other people?
There was a decent, I reckon there's like 20, 30 people there.
Yeah.
The way I remember it, and I mean, my memory might be a little bit off. So, I mean, we were just, there was 7 of us to start with. So yeah, possibly 30 people could be a good number. And the girl hosting it, sorry, there's something else I just remembered as well. She was like selling her own like singles or something, and I'm pretty sure she said, because everyone reminded me afterwards, she said, "Oh yeah, like selling them for £5." Anyway, I bought one for £7. So I think she saw me coming a mile off. And anyway, I don't still have it.
I wonder if there's video of that first show. Did your mates have phones? They weren't really that.
There wasn't that massive back then. They would have done. I can't remember if anyone filmed it. I definitely haven't seen footage of it.
Yeah, interesting. Anyway, this is a shout out to the world. 2011 January, Phoenix in Coventry, Monday night.
Yeah. One day when I'm famous for my music or for one of my heinous crimes.
Yeah.
Which we don't need to get into right now.
You'd need a middle name then if you have heinous crimes. So if you'd never say the middle name and it's not readily used, then it's less obvious that you're out shopping for a heinous crime.
I might just use an M.
Then we'd map it out.
I still need an air of mystery as well.
Yeah. And so one song that night?
I think it was, as far as I can remember.
And were you mentally
terrified,
taxed when you were done? Did you go home and say it has started, or was it like that was petrifying? I'm not sure I can do that again.
It was. I went through all of it from sort of the surprise that it was happening, the surprise that I'd agreed to it, and sort of just let myself get bullied into it. Didn't really want to do it. I was just like, no, I just want to go home and sleep at this point. Got up there, was terrified, really nervous. And I mean, when I think back, when you see someone play for the first time and you can hear the little shake in their voice, you can see the slight trembles. It was like that. And then when it was done, it was like, people responded well to it, and I was just like, that wasn't bad. That was all right actually. And then I had 7 pints and I felt great. Right. And then after that, so if we went a couple of times again, then it started becoming a bit of a thing. So I went a lot more after that.
4 songs?
Three songs would be standard, I think.
Did it stay in the sort of classic metal folk, or were you doing John Denver, or
a bit of probably a bit of Coldplay and Oasis, probably.
Okay.
Bit of Damien Rice. It's a beautiful album. I do like that one. When people ask what kind of music I play, that's normally who I point to for my sort of my mainstream. I don't know, the most mainstream kind of similar artist, maybe.
Damien Rice, or
Damien Rice.
So is that Blower's Daughter on that album, or what? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Is that actually I don't know what a Blower's Daughter is.
I don't know either. Thing is, I heard recently something about that song. It's like, so I know a blower is, I know if
like a metal.
It's a phone. A blower can be a phone. I heard it was like something to do with like ringing up a call center or something, and like chatting to someone over a call center.
Okay.
And I know then it got weird, and I
thought it was like from a steel mill where they, and then that dude was like making metal. Like this was a hardcore job, and she would bring him ham sandwiches wrapped in paper towels and a wicker basket for lunch with mom. That was my vision of the Blower's Daughter.
I like that song. Yeah, that song could be written.
I think you've written it, actually.
I might have done, yeah.
I think, I think you have some lines here. Clamber on the next stakes, or brace yourself against the wind. They could be those people, right? Like sort of.
Yeah, there's
clambering folk.
When my lyrics are weird. I think I sort of skip between every now and then. There's a bit of literalism in what I'm saying, and a lot of it is just whatever imagery is in my head.
Yeah.
So I'm a very visual thinker.
I think that's clear, and I want to get to that. And I'd like to continue this because it's, when I think of you fobbing Oasis lyrics as your first shows, and then playing, and if you were playing at a high level and you're electric and you have this, did you quickly move away from doing covers and wanting to do covers and say, that's not my space soon?
No.
Huh.
Also, I never played electric in front of people.
Right.
So when I play and I was going to perform a song, I would just do on the acoustic. Yeah. It took me, I was 22 when I wrote my first song.
Okay.
And I got pushed into it, really.
You got pushed into your first performance as well.
I get pushed into a lot of things, and that's really good, because otherwise
But did you show up with a guitar strap on the guitar around your neck and say, I don't want to play? Come on, John, mate. Get up there. No, I don't want to play. Why are you carrying the guitar on you? Oh, okay, I'll play.
No, that came a few weeks later.
Okay. So it was truly pushing. So you were truly not like this. You're not rushing to this thing. You'd rather do it in the bedroom or at home in the living room to yourself.
Yeah, it was basically just a sort of a recluse sort of lack of confidence thing.
Lack of skill or lack of confidence? Were you putting the time in?
Yeah, no, I think it's so. Like I say, on the electric, we used to just sort of play for myself at home. I practiced a lot, and I got a lot better. I became like quite a decent technical player.
So would you figure out Paradise City and then move on to? You said that was one of the albums you had. So
yeah.
You'd play it over and over, or you get the tabs and get through it, and you got technical and you could play.
Yeah, play different things, and then try and play different bits.
Were you into the sounds? Were you into like, I'd like the shredder pedal or the heavy metal pedal, or I'd like it to have echo, or were you just mainly like melody and I like the jam? That's a good jam.
Somewhere in between the two. So the pedal I had at home was a Zoom G2 pedal, which basically had like a ton of different effects on it. So I just have different sort of sounds. I wouldn't go all sort of the edge about it.
Mm-hmm.
And
the edge from U2 as a maestro guitar effect master of all effects.
Yes.
Yep.
And I wouldn't do that more. I would just sort of find a sound that I quite liked, and let's keep that. This is what I can play these songs with.
Mm-hmm.
And then here's another sound that is more fitting to this. Here's another sound that's more fitting to that. And I would I'd sort of set my own boundaries, as it were.
For simplicity's sake?
Yeah, just for knowing where I was. Every now and then I might try and throw a little, like a bit of delay on it or something, just mess about with it. But again, because I wasn't performing songs, I was just sort of playing for playing's sake. If I'm I don't know, let's say if I was just at home and just improvising, I've got like a E pentatonic, whatever, and I'm just playing along to it. I wouldn't really faff about with, different effects.
Yeah. And were you sitting next to a computer and with pedals and cables and headsets, or was it all pretty loose?
It would be a pretty compact space. So yeah, I'd have a computer there, and then I would have the Zoom G2 pedal. It's only about that big.
Oh, yeah.
A tiny little thing. That was my one thing. I think I had a wah pedal at one point.
But a desk in front of you, probably, right?
Desk in front of me, yeah. So I would be sat I'd be sat more or less like this.
Armless chair.
Yeah.
And back to the door. So really just sort of like a gamer, like you're...
Yeah, pretty much.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, as opposed to like standing in front of the window with a mic stand and practicing your windmill.
Yeah, do my swaying and all that.
Right. I think you could sort of, if you look back to your youth, if you played around folks, which you didn't, but you had music school, sort of, at school,
Yeah.
There are people who are up on stage practicing, you're like, what's up here? That kid just wants to be up there, right? Like, what in the world? And then there's guys who go in the closet and lock the door and put a sign up, stay away or I'll quit.
Yeah, no, I was definitely more the closet player.
Interesting.
And I know
you getting family support during all this? Like, John, stop playing, you dumbass. Do your alphabet. You don't know how to speak yet. You're speaking Geordie still, or all the
English. Something like, I think there was sort of support of the idea of music, but then there was definitely more of a stop playing now and do your work.
Get ready for life.
Yeah. So like I said, I wouldn't say that I had an unsupportive music background, but I didn't. You hear some people who had like that big push, and I didn't have that big push.
Right, but it wasn't like you were hindered. It was just the reality of the family, and it was you'll be working someday, and it's great if you have this thing.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, you're right. Not hindered, but
yeah.
So it went at the pace that I set.
And it sounds like you're isolated enough that you weren't coming home every day and saying, "Mom, let me play more." You're sort of like, "I'm going to go up to my room." The assumption being he's going to go up and jam.
Yeah, pretty much.
But he never said it's the most important thing in my life, Mom. Stop, leave me alone so I can become Edge or or Damien Rice or whoever.
Yeah. No, music was never a realistic goal. So it's a difference between us, for example. Like you've got the American dream, where you can be anything. You work hard and you can do this. We have. It's not going to happen for you.
Right.
Our culture is much more repressed.
Post World War II.
Yeah, like
by the skin of the teeth.
Ask an American how they feel. Oh yeah, great, yeah, awesome. Like, I know Bill Bailey does the whole thing about this, and it's just absolutely spot on. Where he says the standard British response to "How are you?" is not too bad.
Yeah.
So nothing's ever really great. It's just it could be worse.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd comment on that. I mean, I go out occasionally in the UK and I'll find myself at a pub or someplace out and I look at how hardy and hale these dudes are, and I got gloves and a hat and it's winter. Like if I'd have been at the Phoenix in January, I'd have been freezing sitting there watching you play. Yeah. The thought of drinking 7 beers would be difficult because I'd be cold, even though I'm from Wisconsin, Door County.
Yeah.
But you guys would show up in like a t-shirt and I'd be like, what's up? It'd be raining. I'd be like, these are tough dudes. And they'd be big and you'd drink and you'd smoke or not, but it just was tough. And it was tough, dude. And it wasn't like, there were no green fingernails, it was just short, and it was to get beards like yours. It was just tough dudes having drinks. And it was sort of like, oh, man up, mate, get on with it.
Yeah, sort of stiff upper lip and all that. Yeah. But like you're saying, just showing up in t-shirts, that's a Geordie thing as well. No matter what the weather, like if you're going like out, you wear one layer.
Just tough as nails. Yeah.
Doesn't matter if it's hailstones, you wear one layer. Otherwise, you're basically foreign.
Right. Okay, and I lose the fight just derobing because I'm not mobile. I take off 6 layers of clothes and I just get my head punched in because I'm late to the game. But anyway, so we don't need to talk about my insecurities, but you were complimenting me as
about my insecurities.
Right, American stick-to-itiveness, and we can do anything.
Yeah.
So was it all you thought of? So let's ask that question. Were you utterly internally consumed with the music and the perfection of it, or was it something else?
See, when you were mid-sentence, I was about to say no. But, so what... Yeah, I guess I'm my own harshest critic as well. And when I was playing, I wanted to be able to play well. like in now as well. So this a week or two ago, I sort of started a new fingerpicky thing, which I can't properly do yet.
Yeah.
But you just have to keep on doing it. So when I was in my room at home as a teenager playing the guitar, then I would just keep on playing.
Yeah.
And so I guess there was a sort of perfectionist element. If there's something I'm not doing quite right, if I don't like the sound of that, then keep on doing it until it does sound right. And it's weird how sort of driven I was to perfection that didn't sort of arguably inconsequential perfection, because if I'm only playing for myself, it's not like anyone else is going to hear it.
Right.
And I didn't have the drive to throw it out there.
Yeah, it's interesting. So for like example, there's a riff at the beginning of Strands of Gold, which is on your A Familiar Rush album, which just came out, which you've been writing for a while, but you put out, and you mentioned who you recorded it with, or was your producer or co-producer or someone who helped you. But I thought, I bet you he couldn't play that riff in the song when he wrote it, and I bet you he couldn't sing along with it, and I bet you it took a while to get all of that together.
Yeah, it's really annoying.
Right, and it's and then so now that's done, and now similar riffs or things of similar complication will be easier to incorporate into your set and into your writing, and then you're going to go on to the next thing, which is going to be even harder. So then you're going to be like Fabon or someone, you're going to be tapping your feet on looper pedals or whatever, and so it's part of getting better.
That evolution, that growth. You're right. There's the majority of the first album, Such a Pretty Thing. That's just sort of, it's like, I mean, the chords are like, it's like 4 chords. It's the constant finger picking. That took ages to get down as well. Strands of Gold, I had to fiddle about with that a lot. And then, so while I was trying to learn it, I was like, oh, this is too hard. I could just do it in this simpler way.
Right.
But I thought, no, like, if I keep trying, like, what's the point in just doing it in a simpler way? Because I can do that right now. Why not just keep on trying it? And then eventually I'll be able to do it in this more complex way, which I quite like. I like the sound of it. I want to be able to play that. So keep playing it until you can.
Right. I think of, when I listened to your album, I thought of like Chili Peppers, like John Frusciante's songs. Some of them are just for a live show. He's just picking the most complicated thing in the world to play for 5 minutes straight. Yeah. Just like Under the Bridge, even like his early example of it. But he has some later songs, and I thought he could have just done it easy, but that's the beauty of some of those songs is it probably took him a while to be able to play it. Now he's been playing it for 20 years, and he can do just massively complicated stuff. And now he's singing in backup, and so it's just, or maybe always was, but it was very. As I listened to this, I thought, oh, this is interesting, because you can even tell like he took the hard way out.
Yeah. And you're right as well in saying like pedals. Like that's something I've been considering. I don't know how I feel about loop pedals. I think I can't see what I could do that's innovative that hasn't been done already a million times.
Yeah.
One thing I quite like is
just sonics, fullness.
Like I was thinking of like a foot organ thing. So basically like a 1 octave sort of keyboard that I can stamp on with my feet. Get a few different sound effects in there. And so for example, in The Fun We Had, for example, in there's like the little middle bits where it's got the do do do.
Yeah.
If I could find a way to play that live, if I could have a little foot thing, if I can coordinate 1 foot while I'm doing...
Right, you have the drum and the snare for the only time in any of your songs there is a guidepost too, right?
Yeah.
Which is curious. So it was clear that...
And that song, honestly, that song developed a lot more than I think either of us, me and Ali Horn. So it came out on Luminance Records. Ali Horn was who I recorded it with. He's a much more rounded musician than I am, and he's doing music full time as well. That's his livelihood. And he produced it, and we spent a long time on it, and it was a really good process. Like what ended up coming out was so much different to what went into it at the start. Because I went into it at the start thinking basically to replicate the Wildfire album, which again, if we could maybe remaster it at some point and whatever. And the Wildfire album's good. I think it's representative of the time. Right. And I think A Familiar Rush, in 5 years, I might look back on it and think that's representative of the time as well. Yeah. I'm curious to see what's going to come ahead. But that particular song, The Fun We Had, was, it just turned into this whole thing that I hadn't envisaged yet.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned the pedals. I mean, I think of like Eddie Lee when he was the bass player for Rush, and he started playing those Tarkus pedals, which were organ sounds. I think synth organy sounds. And he got pretty adept at flying along over those things, and he was a multi-instrument player. So he could play keyboards and some songs and bass and pedals, and he'd sing, which is sort of like Fabo, and just sort of doing more man's work, right? He's just out there cranking away. But it makes sense to me for you. So you're in Coventry, you're doing open mics, you're moving along. Are you writing songs yet?
No, that was when I came to Bangkok. So
The first time?
The first time, yeah.
What did you call it? Not the gap year, the
placement year.
Placement year, yes. You guys you have these names that I like.
All these little titles, yeah.
Placement year.
No, there's a friend of mine who said, "Oh no, you play music? Oh, do you want to play at this place? I've heard there's a place called Fatty's. Do you know it?" And I said, "No."
Uh-huh.
And I walked in, and there was a guy who didn't look fat enough to be called Fatty.
Fatty.
Who had a weird little walk. And now he's my best mate.
That's Matt Fisher.
That is Matthew Fisher, yeah.
King of the Bratwurst.
Yeah.
And so that was 2011 on my book when you were at Phoenician, or the Phoenix. Your year abroad was 12?
Well, it was September 2012 until 13, yeah.
And you did one of your songs there at some point?
At Fatty's, I played a few times. But again, then I was playing just covers. So it was mostly like Coldplay and Oasis covers.
Okay. So your first gig out was in 2011, January at the Phoenix. Your first gigs in Thailand were a year later or so, roughly, maybe less.
Yeah.
And then the first time you played one of your written songs was that year, you said?
No, I was 22 before I wrote a song. It was 2015. First time I sort of played a song that I wrote. We got this little Facebook group together called Project 52. A friend of mine did it. Just got a load of us in this group. Said we're all musicians. Let's do a song a week for a year, which is ambitious to say the least. But I thought,
Let's each of us write one song, and then we bring it to Project 52, and you play yours. And so you did Mary Had a Little Lamb week 1, and the guy next to you did Jack and the Beanstalk or whatever, and then the next week you'd bring in a new song.
Kind of. We'd all. I think the idea was everyone posts a new song every week.
Yeah. Okay.
Which didn't work. I think a few of us did it the first week. I think maybe one or two kept it going for a couple of weeks, but I kept it going for like 9 weeks. So I wrote one, and then said, that was actually not badly received. That was okay. I could do that one. Okay, let's try another one, and try another one. And there's still a couple from that period. I think I Need Air, and I think there's one more from that period which made it into the Wildflower album, so it's still around now.
Right.
It got me going, and once I realized that I could do it, then I kept on doing it.
Yeah. And the process of writing was how? Home alone at the desk, set up facing the desk, guitar in hand.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Or
was it? I mean, because your imagery is evocative, and so I could see actually having a gust of wind hit you, and you'd say, "That's going in a song." Clamber up the steps.
Every thing. So I've just got I have a very visual mind. So I only realized that a couple of years ago that not everyone thinks the same way. I've heard some people have an inner monologue, kind of like in Peep Show. You can hear their voices in their heads. That's Peep Show, the sitcom. I don't know if you know it.
No, but I wasn't going to say
not a Peep Show.
Peep Shows.
That's very different. I'm talking about a sitcom here,
and they don't exist anymore. I think Peep Shows. I think it's full on just an assault.
So just more of a wide-eyed show. No one needs to peep these days.
All right.
What was I saying?
Yeah, just sort of you learned visual versus some other thing that people were saying they were, but you couldn't differentiate, so you heard it and you're like, oh, right, I think this way. So how does a visual thinker think, or at least how you think as a visual thinker?
It's so I think in abstract thought. So all of my thoughts are in images. It's like there's constant videos playing in my head. If I'm so for example, if I get a message from you and I read it, I either like visualize you saying it or typing it, even if we've never met before.
So is my face blurry? Is it like this?
It was some, sort of like just sort of a generalized image.
And how does that help you or hurt you going forward? Or is that just how it is, and it just how to help?
That's just how it is.
Okay.
But then for writing music, for example, if I'm writing imagery, so clamber on, you said, clamber on's the next step. Brace yourself against the wind. Let the grey rain be a reminder. It was brave to start again. That little section. So that scenario, that the context in which I wrote that song, that was an image that I had in my head, sort of like. Yeah, I had an image in my head at the time.
Okay, but you weren't out in a windy spot, so it wasn't visual in your head. It was visual in your head. It didn't have to be three-dimensional around you.
It didn't have to be literal. It was
okay.
Yeah, it was sort of
because I was literally typing back to you.
You were, yes. And
but,
so
but after the fact, you'd think about that and say like, oh, he typed this back to me, so
yeah,
I'm in a communication mode with this dude.
It's odd. So what literally happens and what is all hypothetical in my head. So if I imagined like how this is going to go, for example, I can have an image in my head and then it plays out like a memory. So it's as though it has already happened because I've seen it. It's on the video in my head.
Yeah.
If I'm writing a song, so when I write a song, I need a topic first of all. I can't just riff lyrics out of nowhere. I couldn't write a Chili Peppers song.
Right.
It needs to be about something. I try not to be too on the nose about it because normally it's about something that I actually care about enough to sit down and write a song about it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm just running through the titles of the album. So Familiar Rush, Such a Pretty Thing, The Same Thing Again, Less is More. Yeah, I mean, as a listener, you're appealing call-out lyrics, the ones that you remember first time through. You hear it and like, oh, that's the line that I'm going to remember. Or I'm going to forget it, but I'm going to wait for it. And so, yeah, it's not like sitting on a sack of beans down in New Orleans, which is a good lyric. But when you string 20 of those together in a Chili Pepper song, it may even hold together, Give It Away Now or whatever. But it's a very different type of writing and imagery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so as for like what Chili Peppers do, there's merit in that, and it's just I can't do that.
Right, outside your thinking.
Outside my scope, yeah.
Yeah. And so so you're writing them. Are they in the 9-week session? Were they give it away now, or were they deeper like they are now?
It was more or less as they are now. Yeah. I guess I was sort of telling a story or sharing an emotion or. Something. There was some sort of sharing with each one. All of them meant something. I can't remember what they all were at the moment. And I think, other than a couple, the rest have fallen by the wayside.
Yeah, I mean, I wondered about this because they seem, I guess I would accuse you of being too young to have these thoughts, right? And so then you'd say you're an idiot, and I'd say, okay, I agree. So I'd move on and say, these are mature thoughts. And you'd say, you're still an idiot. I'd say, okay. Then I'd say, oh, they seem to have universal truth in them. And some of it's hard, not optimistic. Or if it's optimistic, it's realistic. There's melancholy or sadness incapable of interpretation.
Yeah, I'd say that's fair. It's I don't know. The Cure, for example, wrote a lot of sort of sad songs. It doesn't mean they're sad all the time necessarily.
Right.
But when I sit down to write a song, it's if I've got a topic in my head, it's something that's probably been playing over in my head for a little while.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is often melancholic. It's probably something that it will be something that I've thought about a lot as well. It's not just a off the cuff kind of thing. So I mean, for every song that I've got that's sort of lasted, I've probably got 2 that haven't, that I've written and then just sort of forgotten about. I'm like, don't really like that. One of the things that I don't like is, for example, like really bitter lyrics. I remember I've written a song before that can't remember what it is, but I can remember that it happened.
You hurt me, I'm gonna get back at you.
Yeah, something like that, or just it just seemed bitter and spiteful and just.
Right, she was in it for the money.
That's right, that sort of thing. Just,
right,
like,
okay, yikes, you're calling that out, yeah.
Yeah, like why? I can't have any sympathy with that person because it's just shut up and get over it, man.
Like at the bar, wear a t-shirt.
Exactly, yeah,
mate.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So then you move into first album writing and first album or first series of songs.
So that was the Wildfire album. Most of it was written while I was living in Palestine at the time.
Okay.
So I wrote some of it. Some of it was Bangkok.
Is Palestine a city in Wisconsin, or is this the Palestine of which we know about?
The Palestine which we know about. The Palestinian territories.
Okay. Years
Palestine.
on that? Rough years on that?
So I was there for just shy of a year.
Okay. 2016
to 17.
Okay.
During the time that Trump was elected.
Right. Well done. No relation.
It was. Yeah, no, it was an interesting time. I'd love to go visit there again. I don't think it's where I want to live. I mean, I've decided now that I've moved back to Bangkok again. This is home to me more than anywhere else.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I don't know how much to get into. It's a contentious topic, a very divisive topic.
Yeah, I mean,
the politics of it.
I can't say we have a ton of political discourse here, in particular when I invite musicians, but I fully expect it. You know, a lot of the folks that I've had on, I think Pab Leroy, you know, has a lot to say about what's going on now. So it's fine to say, but, you know, I wasn't following up on Palestine to probe you for political thought. I mean, I know you've moved around a little bit, and I know you're bounced here, but I was looking at the album, sort of what your mindset was as you get your first compilation together, and still sounds like you're a solitary solo guy who faces the desk and writes his stuff and comes up with progressive ideas over time and incorporates them into the act.
I'm glad this has been recorded. You've said a lot of really nice things that I need to get written down and put on the.
We're recording this.
Yeah, that's great.
A progressive performer. ... Lived around the world. ...
Like Palestine. Yeah. So while I was in Palestine, it wasn't. I wasn't necessarily at my happiest there. Just sort of generally speaking. As for the political situation, yeah, it's a mess. It's a very one-sided conflict, I think, and yeah, I'm not in any way supportive of the occupation. I'm in support of the Palestinian people and their struggle for freedom. I'm happy to leave that there for now, so that this doesn't become
up to you
a thing. Yes. If anyone has any questions and they're watching, feel free to call me out on it. I'm happy to chat about it. Just I don't know if this is really the space to.
It could be. I'm not particularly here today to do that, but if we did that, that'd be fine. Yeah, I mean, I'm sensitive of the time and the commitments as well. I'd like to get to, you know, a Familiar Russian sort of.
Yeah, I haven't got to the first album yet.
Yeah, no, right, and you know, to get through the first album is a task of its own. But I think, you know, I have a feeling that with the progress that we've seen from your early posts to the first album, EP, whatever we call things now, to the next release of songs, which is digital. 10 songs. A lot has happened in a short period of time, to me.
Yes.
You know, it's not like you started this in 2008. It's now, as we said, 16 or 17 before you're really getting on the horse of your solo stuff.
Yeah.
And performing it. And so the first places you did that were not here at Fatty's. They were elsewhere in Palestine, for example.
Yeah. So in Palestine, I wrote a song called. What's it called?
That's all right. One of your first songs.
It was. I've complete. It's on the first album. It's Day by Day I Miss You More. I've done so well to ignore. Yeah, I've completely forgotten it now.
Okay.
But yeah, I wrote a song, and that's the first one I thought, wait, I could share this one. Yeah, and so, you know, what was going on in my head at the time, and sort of I did sort of become a little more recluse then. So yeah, I was in my room and I was playing alone. So there were times that, because I lived with a lot of different people, every now and then I would be the only one in the house. And while I was there, that's when I could practice music a little bit more.
In your own room?
Yeah.
Okay, so
but just with no one in earshot.
Right.
And I remember when I came back to Bangkok, the next year, my people who'd heard me play before I left, and then when I came back, it was just night and day difference. I don't know what happened. It's like my voice just sort of opened up. Don't know how. Don't know what it was, but I think, or maybe just a mindset more to just go for it.
And were you singing hard and aggressive when you're doing covers, and sort of? Did you have a fullness like when you do your sort of tonal chanting, which is heavy, and you put effect on it? Were you fully, were you used to singing at that point? Had you built your voice up, or was that a Palestine event?
It was, yeah.
Physical voice, right?
Physical voice, yeah. So I used to be a very quiet, quite breathy singer pre-Palestine, and then something happened, and yeah, I opened up.
Yeah.
Couldn't really tell you how. I just went for it more. So as if you're saying, like, would I sort of really go for it with the covers? I mean, depends on the cover, of course, but the stuff I was writing and the kind of reach that I wanted to have, I think maybe in my head I decided, or just thought, I want to take music a bit more seriously. I want to, take myself more seriously as a musician. So before I wrote a song, I never used to call myself a musician.
Yeah.
I used to say, I play music. And then I came back in 2017 to Bangkok, and I played at Live Lounge for the first time. And I think that was the first time I'd played a set fully of my own songs.
2017, Live Lounge. Frank and I could have been watching you.
You might have been, yeah. It was, would have been, do you know July? I think it was July 2017.
Geez, you're like Frank. Frank has numbers like this. July 2017. We're going to have to do a Frank computer download in his head and watch him spit out the answer, what you played.
Yeah. It's,
but they were your songs then?
They're all my songs. It's really cool. I played Live Lounge a few more times as well. It was a cool venue. I haven't been there in a while. I don't know what it's looking like these days.
Same wall, same stuff, same lights, new management. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I'll have to get in touch with the new management.
Right.
See if they can put that. I mean, that's something I want for now as well. So I mean, we've talked so far about like coming into songwriting or coming into sort of performing my own songs. What I'd like for now, jumping ahead a few years, is to be able to just throw myself out a little bit more, because I'm still not good at that. We could do this in another 10 years and we can see how.
You mean just asking to go play places?
Asking to go play places.
As opposed to going back to Fatty's 7 nights a week with your guitar and asking Matt if you could play because you're comfortable there and you know him.
6 nights a week.
Right.
But yes.
Right.
That's my comfortable space.
Right. So that's what you'd said to me. That's why I asked that, because when you pictured me writing back to you, I'd said, I'd love to go back there, but we've been there on the show with Matt, so I thought that he would be happy to have us back, but that may deprive you of putting some other place on the map. So we will go somewhere else later. Yeah. But interesting. So you're playing out, and was it all you thought it was going to be in when you played in the Middle East, the first time you played a song on a stage of yours to people? And were there many people listening, or was it your roommates from this house of many people?
Honestly, I think I played 4 people once in the Middle East. I went over to one of our friends' houses, and there's a few of us in the kitchen. One of the guys there, he'd brought his guitar over from the States, and so he was the musician, and he played a couple of songs then. So, go on, John, you play one then. I was like, go on. Yeah. So I did, and
nervous, looking down.
Just like the classics. Yes, I mean, that was, I guess around then was sort of the birth of me as a musician, if you will. And then around that time, I started getting more and more songs, and I had an album's worth. And so Matt Fisher said, let's record an album. Oh. So when I got back to Bangkok, we did. And that was wildfire. It took ages to do, just for finding the time and doing it all for free as well, and figuring out how it's gonna come together. Also, sometimes, so the studio recorded in no air conditioning,
right?
So when it's May,
Right.
and we're trying to record and we turn the fan off, and 10 seconds later, I'm just dripping sweat all over the guitar. It's like, let's leave this for like 2 months. Let's come back to it.
Yeah. So not for lack of seriousness, but just there's obstacles that were hard to get over.
Yeah. Also, I feel like I struggled with similar barriers recording Wildfire as a Familiar Rush as well, so I think Matt really helped to flesh out Wildfire, and we had other musicians that came in as well. So we got like Frank on keys. We had got Josh, who played slide guitar on a few of them. We had Gary on the bass. We had people, Iman playing drums on some of them, and then like a few other sort of random bits here and there, which I can't quite recall now. Familiar Rush, it was same again. Like, wanted to go for the minimalism and don't want to have it lost in the production.
Yeah.
Because each song I write starts off with me sitting at a desk with a guitar.
Yeah.
And that's the core of the song. But Ali really fleshed it out, and he sort of, okay, let's try this, let's try that. And he sort of transformed it into the album that it is now. And yeah, as for what's to come as well, so I mean, one of the songs, a song that I thought about playing today, it's one that you won't have heard before.
Okay.
Yeah, and then, so I like that song, but then I'm thinking, if we get around to recording it, which eventually I'd like to do, I have no idea what it's really going to sound like.
Yeah.
But there's something kind of cool about that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if I sit and listen to that, I hear what you're saying. It makes sense to me, sort of the narrative you've talked about there. And I can imagine, even if you wrote them on that guitar that you're going to play, there's an evolution over time, especially when you're playing alone. Yeah. I know when Frank and I and Shogo play, we have songs that are completely different than how we record them on the album, just because we've been playing them so long. So
yeah,
I know you're not asking for feedback on what you just said, but that's, as I listened to it, it was interesting to hear you sort of struggling with that. But good production also helps, right? And I know Matt likes to work sonics, right, and has ideas. And then Ali is obviously another producer, so you're now experienced recording, so you know what you do and what you like. But he brought something else to it. But it's a Familiar Rush, the album that, if I were to say when it came out, I'd say October-ish, I guess, of last year, 2023. A very sonically pleasing album to listen to from the beginning and end. And why don't we start talking about that now, and we can draw comparisons to the first album if we want to. But how long? 10 songs in that album. I assume none of them existed prior to COVID or much prior to COVID?
No, I think 2 of them did. So I had a 2-year drought of writing music as well. So between 2017, very much when I'd written the last song that was on the Wildfire album, and I didn't write any songs. That was 2017 up until 2019. I think it was the tail end of 2019 where I finally wrote another song again. So a couple were prior to COVID. The rest of them, a lot of them were during COVID. The most recent one I think was Strands of Gold. That was when did I write that? I think that was the summer 2022. So it's taken a while. All these new songs on this new album, they're not all new.
Right, but yeah. Well, it's interesting because that, I would guess, if I were giving them names, that would be the most optimistic. So I think maybe Wings at Our Feet might be as well. But okay, so the gestation period is out there. It's not wrote it last night, recorded it today, and now we're playing it live tomorrow. It's a little different than that.
No, it's all getting around to it.
Yeah.
So it's writing the songs. If I can write if I write 3 songs in a year, I'm okay with that. If I write 4 songs, that's like a good year.
Yeah.
In 2023, I wrote 3 songs.
How do the lyrics come about? Do you have, what, I guess this is the standard question. How do you go about writing your songs? Is it music first? Is it a lyric first? Is it the evocative imagery you talked about in your head that you see it first? So the wind, or?
It's music comes first. whether it's just like a guitar-y bit or whatever. And I've got a couple that I've got already that I want to write songs for. And then I need a topic, and then I need to really think about that topic.
So that's the album cover of A Familiar Rush, right?
Yeah.
I just wanted to bring that up because your name is unique and interesting, but other stuff does pop up. So I'm going to try and direct viewers and listeners to this thing today on Spotify or whatever bootleg, whatever bootleg universe there is out there. There it is, right?
I've also got physical copies.
Right, there we go.
I was supposed to bring for you, and I forgot.
Lordy, that's okay. I've got my Spotify.
Right.
You're in my phone forever, I guess,
but,
or not. So you for a year, banner year, 1 1/4 if you do math, disaster preparedness. I can write one song a quarter, so I'm gonna have to live off the proceeds of one song in a disaster universe.
Yeah.
If you're the traveling minstrel in the disaster world.
On the proceeds of all the music I've written, I could so far live for no.
You have 7 pints. Those are
7
proceeds.
pints. Yeah.
First week you're in pint heaven.
Yeah.
After that, sort of hard to keep it fresh.
I should have just retired then. So all right, guys, I've made it. Nice
so you hear the guitar.
Yeah. The guitar comes first, and then I need a topic. Then I need to overthink that topic a stupid amount until I have a sort of a story, a narrative, an image in my head. Not necessarily a narrative of the song, just of whatever it is that I'm ruminating over. And then I use pen and paper for lyrics. Just write this down, scribble it out. Every now and then I can get a song out in just like in one sort of evening. Sometimes
the lyrics.
The lyrics. And then it's like fitting the lyrics in with the music that I wrote and having to sort of alter that and make it all sort of fit together as well, because I'll need the sort of the melody for it too. And so sometimes it comes really easily. Sometimes it doesn't. I think it's the great merge of, it's not just divine intervention, divine inspiration, sorry. But then also just allowing yourself the time to do it. So I need to be
focused.
I need to be focused. I need to be receptive. To divine inspiration.
That's interesting. I think that's a question I often see asked in these types of podcasts or in the music world. And I always like to hear the answer. I don't care who's answering it, if it's Bono or if it's, you and me. And I think it's equally prescient or interesting to me to hear the response, because what I found with you as I sat and as I wrote down lyrics that I liked, when I tried to sing them, I was like, oh, I got to go back and listen to that because I'm remembering the melody, but the cadence of it is so important to how he's singing it. And the comma that I left out, and I need to go back and put in and sort of circle and say, pause for an 8th note or 16th note here to get this right.
Yeah.
And there's one line that I thought is the big line of your album. And so I'm just going to say as a listener and as a repeating sort of semi-critical listener, like looking for things that I could complain about or that I could praise, which moves me closer to a reviewer than a musician, right, for that moment, was the one, and I'm going to say it was the one about the race and the track metaphor. So if I said that, could you remember it? It's in Less is More. Right. It goes like this. So I'm going to read it out loud and then sort of ask listeners to go look this up on Spotify or something, because it sounds ridiculous when I do it if I don't try to sing it. So if I just say it, I have to nail it to give it the same impact. So the years went fast, right, are the first couple of words. Yeah. But if another flew on past, there'd be one lost. And that's not the cadence that you sing it in, but that's the way I have to say it now to get the meaning across the same way. And so it's really interesting. And that line sort of jarred me away because I was listening to it. I was listening attentively. I was isolated. I was alone. I was at the desk like you probably wrote it. I was waiting for your best shot, and I got it. And now I was like, I got to write that down. So I've already missed the next piece, so I stopped it immediately. So I said, I got to go listen to this whole thing now. So the years went fast, but if another flew on past, there'd be one lost, period. He needed change of pace. I write the comma down and I circle it. He needed change of pace, a circuit, and a different race, comma, he had to go. and it's such a great line in the song. So less is more, a familiar rush. Wait for it. It's 3-minute, 23-second song. It's in there somewhere. I think it's second verse, and I always seem to stumble onto your second verses as having these dynamic, powerful, like, punchlines, or that, like, this is the big message coming at me, so get ready for it. The first one is sort of the setup, slow pitch in baseball terms here, what the wicket, I don't know, but that one really leapt out to me to be like, I think this one seems to be very earnest, this line. This is the life lesson of a young man, and it's too soon for him to be saying this. So, and the track metaphor, I thought just how it was the circuit and the race. I thought, boy, he's British, biking, race cars. Yeah, I guess those are the formative sports around him.
Can I ruin it?
Yeah, ruin it for me.
The image in my head at the time was it was like a running track, but like in a coliseum.
For sure. That too.
For some reason, it was.
I thought
Roman Coliseum.
Yeah, I thought. Then I thought of the same thing. What was that movie with the guys who ran and they did the parody with the eggs in their mouth? Chariots of Fire.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that was the stuff I was thinking of, British style, like on the bike, or in the white outfits, from that movie, like running with the cleats, running in need a different race. And I thought, that's a good one. That's solid. Like that has me. And there were more on that song.
One line I quite like in that song was delicate, elegant, fragile, pure. I just like the way it rolled off the tongue. Delicate, elegant.
You have a couple of those. What are those alliterations? That are fancy worded alliterations too, that are smattered throughout the album. Yeah. And they're also equally not jarring, but they wake you up and say, "Oh, right."
Yeah, there are like. I haven't necessarily consciously gone for alliterations, but there are. I couldn't sort of tell you right now exactly where they are, but I know that there are definitely they're in there.
Right.
Sort of just lines with, all right, look, this is the B line.
Right.
It's just
Right. As opposed to, like, from that same song, such a wonderful thing made less is more. I mean, that's not an alliteration.
No.
Right. But it's in this, so there's an alliteration in that song. And so you throw the tools at us, you throw the weaponry at us, and we have to manage it. And there's the poetic lines, which I guess the first one I thought I read was. Mm-hmm. Then there's the alliterative. You're waking me up because you're going to try and attach several words to the feeling and the sentiment and whatever the picture is in your head, right? So that was an interesting thematic one. So that was less is more.
Yeah. I think another line I quite liked as it came out was in the fun we had. I think it's strange the memories a little cold can bring.
Yeah.
Because and that again, that one's more literal. That was just I was cold at the time, and I was it's just weird. But yeah, then try to sort of present it a little bit nicer rather than I'm cold.
Yeah. All right, so a familiar rush. All of these songs are you on guitar, maybe backing vocal, maybe a keyed instrument like a piano or a synthesizer. Yeah. No discernible drum track or click. I assume you're playing to the click because they all seem to be on time.
With the exception of Clamber On, because for some reason I just couldn't particularly with the start. There's sort of different phases.
Yeah,
in
that's
that song,
right.
And
I think there's even a tempo increase at some point. In
probably
one of these.
that was the one that wasn't done to the click track,
right?
Just because it was just getting annoying, and I was like kept on like slightly missing it. So, you know what, whatever, just do it without.
And then we mentioned this. The fun we had has a snare drum in it for 8 beats or something like that.
Yeah. That one we put the drums in. It just sort of seemed to work. I wasn't a fan of the drums. I was happy to have it without it. But then Ali said, no, let's just try it. Let's just see what we can do. And I was like, yeah, no, you were right.
I quite honestly missed it a couple of times and then heard it. And I was like, oh, I was waiting for drums and here they are. And I blew through it. So it's not even that invasive a species.
Yeah. And then also at the end of that song as well, that was...
what do you call those things? Humming?
O's? I don't know.
Yeah, O's, right. Because they're smattered from your backup singers throughout, but you also do them on at least 3 occasions, right?
Yeah. So,
and some are epic Sailor Warrior versions of the high C's, and others are more
some
like...
just like calm humming.
Yeah. And some are super low. You do a super low thing, too, on some of them. A harmony, right?
Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah.
But no, it's I don't know, it just sort of fits in, and
agreed.
I mean, sometimes I guess like with the humming when I'm writing the song, it's because I don't have another instrument at the time, so I just feel like, oh, this could go in, and because it's just me and a guitar, so I do it as a hum, and then that's what gets in my head, and that suddenly becomes, okay, that's what the song is. It sort of becomes canon, if you will.
Yeah, I think Frank and I have that. We debate that because he has a much stronger voice than I do, and it's very instrumental in some points. And if he's just hitting notes, sometimes it's better than anything because he can jam bass, he can jam guitar, he can jam however he wants. But a lot of times his songs call for the strength of his vocal, and I think yours do too now for me. Like, yeah, all right, this can be the epic sing-along motion. I saw one of your podcasts where you talked to someone about if you had to play Wembley, you would, and you could. But some of these would be, maybe not Seven Nation Army sing-along craziness, but have that propensity to be a good sing-along segment.
I'd say I've got one sort of sing-along song. So yeah, that podcast you saw is my friend Shannon Peterson, Red Shutter Club.
Yeah.
So she's an American living in Liverpool. Started doing a music podcast. And
it looked like a brick wall of a Pudlian or whatever.
I think that was like an old factory which is now serviced for people living there, and that's
it looked cool. I mean, it was the whole thing. I forget what it's called.
Red Shutter Club.
Yeah, it looked cool. I mean, it was legit setup. I thought you guys were having fun too, so it was cool.
And it's great, and she's doing great things with that. I'm really happy that it's taken off.
Yeah, so Red Shutter Club, I don't know if that's the name of the podcast, but you were in it with your friend, so take a look at that. It's better than the one I'm doing with him, so go see hers because you guys are laughing and you pull out a flute and play, and there was some jocularity in it that was clearly based on friendship. So
I mean, I'd known Shannon for a while. Like the music scene in Liverpool was really good. That's how I made all my friends when I moved there. Like you get on people. It's a really supportive crowd as well. It's we got to the point where people are playing each other's songs, and there's something nice in that.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So we were before. We sort of went down a rabbit hole a little bit on lyric creation and some of the fills, and then your vocals becoming an instrument and sort of song construction. And I'm sort of throwing lyrics out to see if it jogs additional robustness around the description of how you're doing it, because I think they were epic lyrics for me off of a 10-song album, and they continue to be meaningful to me as I listen to them, and so I'm going to see if it jogs anything here in terms of a discussion, as a fan writer dynamic. So Such a Pretty Thing, second song, obviously I would imagine a debatable first song or second song, probably a Familiar Rush is a much better title song. So, but a strong song. So a strong number 2. So you come out of a Familiar Rush, which is a very good song. A Familiar Rush strips you of time. Garbs? You're smiling lies?
Garbs. Garbs, like
Garbs.
Clothes. Yeah.
You're smiling lies?
Strips you of time. Garbs you in smiling lies.
Garbs you, where's, all right, so that's even better.
You're wearing smiling lies.
Of how you'll try this time around.
Yeah.
So there's failure in the past, or there's effort in the past, and now you're going to try and redo the thing. A Familiar Rush.
Yeah, it's like the effort, which it's of effort, which, and then self-sabotage as well. So you keep saying, this time I'll try, and then you say, but
I don't. Lie to yourself,
So when it's like the initial excitement, which just very quickly fades away, and then it's and then you sort of look back and say, oh, I could have been doing this, I could have been in this, and then you start to hypothesize, okay, what could have been, and then you visualize each one of them, and then you write a song about it.
And then you write Clamber On, which has a very similar lyric. So you clamber on the next step, brace yourself against the wind. We've already said that here, I think, today. Let the gray rain be a reminder it was brave to start again. So you have this notion of, wait a minute, all right, now I'm getting ready. This is going to be the one.
Yeah.
So will the emotion and will the urgency continue, right?
Yeah. So that one was... So that was partially literal as well. I was taking a new step in life. It was after I'd done. So when I left Bangkok in 2019, I moved to London and I did my master's. And then COVID hit halfway through.
In disaster preparedness as well?
Oh no, that one was it was called International Child Studies. It's like Children's Rights and Development.
Okay, a sub-genre of disaster preparedness.
Something like that, yes. Yes, I was hoping to get into working with the children's charity perhaps, and I got a job offer from a children's charity. Basically, they spent 3 months faffing over paperwork because I needed a Thai police check, which I couldn't get because they needed fingerprints from the UK police who wouldn't do it because of COVID.
Right.
And they basically just messed around for 3 months and then said, oh, this is a deal breaker. So, well, you could have told me that before. Yeah. But I was preparing to move to Morecambe, which is a very uninspiring place in the UK. And it was to do something completely new. Is a place that I didn't know anyone. As I say, it's not like moving to Bangkok where it's sort of like people might imagine that it's a really cool, vibrant place. It's not.
Morecambe. In
Morecambe, no. But it was a
in the Midlands too, in Midlothian.
Oh no, this is near.
Sorry,
this is near Lancaster. This is like Lannister territory.
The Lannisters?
That's right. it's a town outside where the Lannisters are from.
Damn. So you're just outside the gate again, man.
More or less, yeah.
Damn it. Of course, the fingerprint thing. I'm glad it didn't work.
I'm very glad it didn't work as well. I wrote that song. I was like, I'm feeling good about this because I feel like I should, and like this is new and it's scary, and I don't know what it's going to lead to. But still having sort of apprehensions about it.
Yeah, and that conveying that thought from you, and the way you do it in these songs, makes it a shared experience for some reason, which is a good thing, I think. But also makes it feel important. Makes it feel like that suffering, if it's even yours, or if it's mine through me borrowing the song for a moment, that it's an important thing. It's not snarky or sarcastic or like, boy, you're going to pay on this next step. It's not lecturing. It's not, it's introspective. Yeah. It's sort of like, hey, you're starting to get it. It just sort of, it felt like it was sage advice or just, I'm describing this. You might be experiencing this too. It's a next step.
Yeah.
It's sort of temporally bizarre for me because it's like, wait, is he coaching? Is this coaching? Or is it like?
I mean, that was sort of self-coaching,
right? And you get wrapped. I get wrapped up in it as a listener. I'm like, how am I involved in this now? All of a sudden,
you're saying some really cool things. I've never met anyone who's sort of analyzed my music quite as much as this, and that, for example, that's exactly what I want.
Right. I would hope. I mean, I would hope my saying really that, but I'm not manufacturing saying that. I'm just telling you how I felt.
No, of course. But that's
well, I could be here, like trying to blow smoke up here.
But what would be the point?
Well, I think probably a lot of points. Get in the world, get in your world, play with you. I mean, there's all sorts of deceptions here that can happen to become fanboy, right?
Yeah.
So if I'm hoping that I don't ever cross that. If Daryl Hall's sitting there, I'm going to say,
I'm not assuming. Yeah.
But I want you to attach evil intent to some of your podcasters because it maybe they're gaming you, right? But I don't think I am. Right. I'm just sort of trying to describe like a weird thing that overtook me and that. And so as I bounce from that to this, I look at your, I look at you and catch your eye. Time has a taste.
Time hesitates.
Time hesitates. It speeds on by.
It speeds on by.
Okay, that's even better. Time hesitates doesn't make any sense now that I think about it. we should spend time like this again. And I thought, this is going to be a horrible line because it's going to be friend. I'm guessing, right? I want to get mad at you. I want you to blow your lyric, right? While we have a chance, comma, my friend. So if you listen to you sing that line, it's just as an Englishman, as sort of Gandalf the Grey now, like singing, well, I want to listen to my friend, right? Like, because you have the deep voice and you have the paternal voice going on, and it's so, we should spend time like this again while we have a chance, my friend. It's just a great line, and that's a risky lyric because it sounds like someone else wrote it. It sounds like we've heard it before. If you sit and think, what's going on here? That's too easy. How come I didn't come up with that line? Like, damn, if that's the first time that came out, then good for him.
Yeah.
but it's just really interesting. And so you pull up another one, such a pretty thing and so easy to breathe and simply free. And I'm not saying it right there, but if you hear that the way you sing it, I won't try to explain. I'll stay silently thankful and just let it be. Boy, you start to think, I've heard those lyrics before, but you haven't. You know, and you could chat GPT this, and it's not going to come up and attribute to Paul McCartney, who you probably don't want me to attribute anything to, or you know, but just solid lyrics to that song. Song 2, you know, crushing it in song 2, which is always hopeful, right?
I like that. I think with that line as well as we should spend time like this again while we have the chance, my friend. I think when it's sung as well, the sort of, like you're talking about, you know, lyrics coming in at, you know, 8ths and 16ths or whatever. The specific timing of that is very specific,
monstrously huge.
So I have the chance. Those little pauses and the slight sort of dip in sort of the strength of saying, I don't know how to say it. It gets like very slightly quieter.
Yeah.
Sort of almost like an afterthought.
Yeah.
No, that was pretty key in writing that lyric as well. It has to be presented in the right way, because when you can have a conversation with anyone over like messages, over text, and you can't determine how the tone.
I meant that as a joke. I got pissed off.
Yeah,
because you can't say, my friend. You know. Yeah, you mean it. You mean that line.
Yeah,
and you could tell either your producer or you or whoever or however. I thought, geez, you know, and there's so many times in Beatles songs when they're pronouncing a word away, you know that was intentional. You know that was a production thing and an artist thing.
Yeah. And
you know they're preserving it, and they fought around it, and they probably had debates on the sound around it. And I could tell that line you did too. And I thought, this is serious.
Yeah. I mean, there's other lyrics as well. So I never really realized that my timings are really awkward to record with. When we got Grace Harvey, she did the backing vocals on Clamber On and A Familiar Rush.
Interesting.
And there's one of the lines.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Back again, you find yourself.
Yeah.
Don't tell yourself you really tried to do all that was fair. And it's the very specific timings of those words as well. It took a few takes because it's just not how you would naturally think it comes across. Also, she did great on that as well.
And it's not critical of her. It's just, it's in your head, and the front beat and the back beat and middle, and it's just.
Oh yeah, no, she smashed it. I'm really glad she got on board with it as well. And like you're saying, Ali and Matt with the first album as well. Like, they got it.
Yeah,
it worked because we got on and because they got the songs and what I was trying to do and everything. It wasn't just a producer who's, you know, a very good technical producer at this whatever, and like, okay, I'll hammer this out for you. Tell me what you want and I'll do it. It was a team effort.
Yeah, and so I would say to, you know, performance artists and artists listening, if you made it this far, you know, listen to our guests' lyrics here. You know, it's very artful, you know, and even if you hacked them out overnight and produced them one day, that's not the point. You know, I think I asked enough questions to say you do 4 a year, so you spend time on these, and they're thought out, so we can get over the pretentiousness of all that. It took me 6 decades to write one sentence. You know, then I get that. But yeah, and so, you know, it's not 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's leave that in. You know, no, let's not leave that in. You know, there's enough of that. You know, that's a solid criticism of that. But if you said, no, the whole thing is around that, and I'd say, okay, well, John, explain that to me. You know, why is 1, 2, 3, 4 important here, and not the other 9 songs, for example? Mm-hmm. Well, you know, because I fell out of a window right then when I was writing this. So the rest of the song is about the fall. That sounds unbelievable, but okay. Yeah. You know, it's not going to help much because we don't know that detail from the song. But this is interesting how you described it there. And I could see that line in particular was very well crafted. And it works. And it works repeatedly. And even when you know it's coming, you're waiting for that line. You're like, I'm not going to get sentimental here. This isn't Charles Dickens. Not more, please. But when you read that every time, you're like, oh, don't do it, kid. You're going to get your face punched in, you know. And now you got it.
And with that one as well, sort of who the song was about and for as well, and just, I don't know, I think, because that was sort of, that's the closing line, isn't it, before we get into the second little chorusy bit. I feel like that was important. So it was that song was about a really nice day I had with a friend.
Yeah.
And so we're getting to the end of that day. And so it's, you know, when you've done something nice, you want to end well. And it's sort of like with anything, I suppose. Yeah. How do you say thanks, bye, see you later? Yeah. So
right. Especially if it's a Geordie with this t-shirt on and you're not supposed to be diffusive.
I didn't even have the nails done then either. So like a lot less flamboyant.
I'll stay silently tthankful and just let it be.
Yeah.
That's your solution there.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say it to the guy or the girl or the dog or the cat or the monkey, or because you're not clear on a lot in there. You're not giving us some details, but it doesn't matter. Those aren't the purpose of what's happening.
I don't want to be too. Yes, I don't want to be too on the nose with it. I don't want every
like
song
me
to
and
just
Max down at the shoreline. You know, that's not the first line, which are great first lines.
Yeah,
you can have that,
and it's it can be good. And I know people who've like there's a friend of mine, John Witherspoon, like really good musician as well, from Liverpool, and he writes great songs, and some of them are very specific. Like he's got a song called Christopher's Heart, which is about his friend Chris. And, you know, there's a line in there when Chris was marrying Joanne, you know.
Yeah.
Not everyone can take that home and just, well,
let's use Christopher again. You know, Winnie the Pooh didn't know what to do. Kenny Loggins. It's like, you know, the house, Christopher's Corner, whatever that is. Yeah, it's like, it's all things we know and have to sort of, Winnie the Pooh didn't know what to do. I'm going to see him with his hand in a honey jar. It's like, you've loaded this for me now, right?
Maybe my thing's like, maybe I've still got a bit of the closet musician in me where I don't want to just put my life out there. I don't want to say, this is about like person A and person B, and this is exactly what it is. It's nice to be a little bit vague as a sort of
protective device.
Leave a little bit of a buffer between me and what the song's saying. I mean, I was terrified when we're making the Wildfire album, because I was like, right, I want to get these songs out there. I want people to listen to them, but not really listen to them.
Yeah.
Just like hear them and enjoy them. If you like. Just don't listen to what I'm actually saying.
Background music.
Yeah.
Or you do Tom York and we don't know what you're singing.
Just blur it.
Yeah. Okay, I'm with you. You know, something real, something kind, something I don't often find. Shouldn't have been as good as it was, and it was fantastic. I'm sure that's used before ChatGPT. Pull it up, maybe not, but
possibly.
And the commas and the way you did it. So that's song 3, and so you're still throwing high heat, as we'd say in baseball terms. There's still solid lines coming out. Several songs into the album, and I'm not saying that you rank things, but at some point you're less attracted to your songs or less committed, and they're just not as strong, or they don't mean as much to followers.
Yeah.
Then less is more. You know, I've gone through that. You know, and I think we did that. That's the circuit and the race. And then the fun we had, I got caught up on the musical stuff there, so I didn't write much down. But Clamber On, I think I've gone through that a couple times, right? See the ones I like and love in a place where I was free to be me. What else is there to say? That sequence, the way you sing it, is great.
Yeah.
You know, it's sort of like we had a chance, my friend. You know, it's just you got to get through it.
What else is there to say? That was an alternate lyric. So it used to be something else. I rewrote it because I was trying to fill that last line and I couldn't think of anything. I was like, try this, okay, try. And then eventually it's just like,
what else is there to say?
What is that to say?
Yeah.
So I guess that came about quite organically.
And that's a good line. It takes us to the bridge. That's Robbie Robertson or Robbie Williams. You know, so I didn't feel like you were punting to get across the end zone line or something. Yeah, but it made sense to me there. So then you have Clamber On, then you have the bridge, and I thought it was great how you. I mean the Clamber On lyrics. So clamber on the next step, brace yourself against the wind, let the gray rain be a reminder. It was brave to start again. So just that sound effect bridge. It's not even really a bridge. Was very different for the album, and it. I was desperately certain where he's copying this person. I don't know why I do that. I don't know why I try and tear things down to your disadvantage.
Everything's drawn from somewhere. And it's like trying to find the root of it.
Yeah, but I couldn't, and I didn't, and I thought I'm just going to leave it alone. It was a great bridge. Yeah. Just very sort of, I said, oh, okay, I could see him taking a whole third album there in this song, in this bridge area, and then jamming or doing something in there with other stuff and not even bringing in rhythm.
No, that was... So that came back as well. So Ali, found this sort of like weird windy,
the windy
sound.
thing.
Yeah, and Yeah, no, that was all Ali. It's he'd been working with someone else recently, and he sort of like discovered this. Like, let's try this in here.
Yeah.
And that was 3 years after the song was written. When
5-minute song, yeah, it was probably it's probably your standard length, and then you got the bridge in there.
Yeah, that whole bit came about. It just sort of, at the time, I didn't know what I wanted to do with it. I imagined it being sort of more sort of big full bands, like guitar solo in there probably.
Strings.
Yes. That reminds me as well. I'd love to play with a cellist around here. I was thinking for, like, now that I'm in Bangkok and I can look towards longevity, if you know any cellists,
we met a guy named Volt who's a violinist who is.
That would also be cool.
Yeah.
Well, we can chat about that afterwards. That end bit of Clamber On. I had a rough idea in my head of what I wanted. Then when it came to making it, that was more or less the last one, like the last bit of the album that we really solidified. Because we were thinking about it for ages. We sort of, okay, we'll come back to it. We'll come back to it.
Yeah,
it just worked. And then having sort of the kind of like ghostly background voices as well.
Yeah,
for sure. The dual vocal on that end bit as well. I'm happy with that.
Yeah, I mean, I think of Creep, the big guitar, which then you go to the bends and you got a lot of that sort of musical discord. I thought, oh, okay, this, and your producer, I thought, okay, this may well, lead to bigger, different things or not. But it was clearly awesome, when it happened.
It could. I mean, I've talked about, musical evolution and stuff, and that's that sort of thing that in the future as well, it could well be sort of more third album material. That could be Glamour On could be the bridge between the second and third album.
It's certainly a good song, and playing it solo, I think, he's going to run into his own devices here. He's either going to have to bring something on to make that sound or come up with something else or hum over it or jam over it on his own and then get back to Wish You Were Here. How's the jam going to go? And, in particular in Clamber On, which is not... it would be interesting to do a jam because it'd be a slower pace probably, right? And so you could do that, no question. You do it elsewhere, right? You do it for the opening minute of Wings at Our Feet, right? So you could probably do a 5-minute jam and we'd all be attentive listening in the live venue, right?
Yeah, I forgot that's the one with the long intro.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Okay, so then you got Wrong Hands, which is clearly one of those, you're not showing us the whole hand to make a pun, but you're holding back some of the secrets, but I think it's very outspoken, and I have so much written down from that song, and I thought, this sounds like you strung this together quickly, not quickly, but you're singing it at a faster pace, I think. But for now, I thought I'd take time to share a little gratitude for this gift of mine. So we don't know what that is in the line, right?
I can tell you. I'm happy with
Well,
it.
let me just keep going, because I'm going to wait for the next line to figure out what the gift is, right? I wasn't sure just how to say it, and then I think later you say play it. Yeah. So it's a cool sort of progression. So I wrote her a love song, one that you might like to play, comma, maybe not, space, when you're not picking rocks up down by the water side. We'll get around to that someday. And so that whole sequence is nice because it's my thought of what people do when they're picking up rocks changed. Mm-hmm. I just, as a kid who grew up on a beach, I'd throw them at fish, when I pick. But I thought, okay, let's get rid of that. That's not what he's talking about. He's not a fish killer from the shore, but
no, not from Wisconsin,
right? Alewife. And we'll get to that someday. Don't let these words fall into the wrong hands. Oh, wait a minute. Now I'm just completely all bollocksed up here because I was like, wow. Yeah, and so it's just the whole, and that moves along at a pretty rapid clip. It's not like you have time to sit by and there's not it's not moving into the next part of the song, but it's a very good series of strong sentiments that end up with this. Don't abuse it, or hold on to this or something. But it was just, I was like, oh, this is good.
Yeah. So that was a song for Matt Fisher.
There you go.
Actually.
Matt.
So
now I'm jealous. Now I want to say it sucked. You got your own song, Matt.
was.
Could you name a bratwurst there for me?
We'll see. The Roman sausage. Yeah.
Oh boy.
Is that have a think about if that's really what you want.
No. Sauerkraut.
Yeah.
No. All right. I'm sorry. This is a good song. Go ahead.
Friends, it was quite a while ago, accused me, I'm going to use that word specifically, of constantly writing love songs. And I said, all right, well, clearly you haven't listened to them, because that's not, particularly in the referring to the first album, that's not what they are. And then sort of that came up in my head again around the time that I think someone was talking about like musical mentors and stuff. And so my musicianship evolved a lot in Bangkok, and specifically in my most comfortable place, which is Far East. And so Matt is not shy to tell me when I need to stop doing that, or you need to do this, or you need to do that, and like give me little nudges. And and so I've grown into a much better musician because of the advice of other people, and specifically him over the years as well. And we're good friends as well. And so
does he know this was written for him?
He does know, yeah.
Okay.
And so I thought, who do I actually love? Like the people I love. And so I'll write a love song, and not just a
right. Let us
not like a sort of Shakespearean kind of, just love my friends. And there's a few songs in that album that are for friends. The stuff about, so I was fiddling around on the guitar, and Matt's got a style as well, and I was fiddling around with something, and then I realized that I played something in a Matthew Fisher style. I was like, all right. And then the song did come about quite quickly. Sort of the guitar bit for sort of a mix between my style and his style. So I thought, okay, this is perfect. I can write this song. It's for Picking Up Rocks by the Waterside. So in my image, when I hear that line, I often think of like skipping stones.
Sure, of course.
That's not I'm not going to explain. There's a couple of inside jokes in this song.
Yeah.
Same with
No, I'm not asking you to decipher that.
Oh no. I mean, if you did ask me, I'm not going to tell you.
Yeah, there you
go. I thought that was a really nice image as well. So I wrote a love song, one that you might like to play.
Yeah.
When you're not picking up rocks by the waterside. We'll get around to that someday. So I had this image in my head of just like, it's when I come back, like we'll be friends again, like not from thousands of miles away. I didn't know how to say it. I didn't know how to play it. Again, just sort of, it's a song. It's a two of us song, I suppose.
Well, right, and the notion of picking up rocks is contemplative. Mm-hmm. And that's what I got out of it. It wasn't skipping. It wasn't throwing them at fish. I sort of backed it up to I'm out picking up rocks. We'll do that together again. But I'm trying to tell you this thing, right? I'm not sure how to say it, and so I'm trying to say it. So it was an interesting way to show the sort of you figuring out how to say it. Yeah, and that's what this section's about. Is like
it could have gone really bad. Like trying to write that song, it could have gone really badly. It could have just not got the message across properly.
Or like, don't abuse it again. Or you're just something like, oh wait, hold on, the whole thing stops being good there. Or last time I did it, you sold it and made $1 million, and I got ripped off. Or, okay, so this is a crass commercial song. Like, so there's all those, right? Or like, you told me it sucked, but all that sort of value-laden stuff is outside of it. It's just, I think it's a descriptive emotional lyric that holds together and has universal application. And I think people can attach their own to it and not know what yours was specifically, because you're not saying, hey, Matt and I were skipping rocks down at the water, and I took time to tell him he was a mate.
I like the openness of interpretation.
Yeah,
Everyone could read a lyric and they can see it their own way. I mean, such a pretty thing. Someone might hear that and even though that is specifically about a day that I had with a specific person, there's stuff that you could read into that and relate it to yourself. Like, that's why I like using the imagery and not being quite so direct.
And I think you make us a little safer in saying we should spend time like this again, my friend. It's okay. That's not about me, but it's just such a good way of saying it. Right? Yeah. It's like, it's to be or not to be. It's just like, oh, okay, I'm going to use that sometime. I don't know what it means really, but I'm going to use that one. Yeah. Okay. Well, look, we've spent a lot of time. I'm not sure how long we've been talking here, but I know we do want to play, and then we're going to go off to our third spot. So the Roman Anton podcast always has 3 sections of this interview. I did want to ask you before we leave this section, The picking comment you made to me, because I sat in this chair and Matt sat in that chair and he played, and he has this strange down picking with 3 fingers or strumming. And I've seen this through other musicians that I like, and there's not a pick, or there is a pick. I watched your fingers on live performances, I think, and then in maybe the podcast, but some very good acoustic recordings that I heard that were good, but I could get a better feel, and I knew there was downward plucking with either the back of your index finger or the thumb, and then a pinky pull-up on some of the way you play, and it's really weird to watch because it's different than anything I've seen.
Yeah, although I don't use the pinky though. It's these.
Okay,
4.
then yeah,
it's like there is a bit of sort of
sweep
so
up.
I've learned recently. So one of the songs I'll play as well. Sort of the downward raking motion. Yeah, and then like picking up, and you know these nails. I mean, they're Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles right now. I need them long. The nail stuff, it strengthens them.
Are those
so
attachment nails, or did you grow yours that way?
No, mine are grown that way, but to just stop them chipping away, having the nail art on them, it makes them look amazing.
And they're strong.
Keeps them strong as well, yeah.
That's a slice of pizza on that one, right?
That is a slice of pizza, yeah.
There you go. That's the pizza fingernail.
That's right, yeah. Yes, it's for picking that, stroking down. I've got basically 3 moves. I've got sort of like the jellyfish, where I'm just sort of doing a bit of that. Then I've got like the downward strum.
Yeah, strum.
And then there's where my hand sort of looks static, and it's sort of a mix of down and up strokes, and I'm just sort of doing that, which doesn't look great without a guitar.
Yeah, it looks like a claw.
Yeah,
it's tense. Claw, it's not loose or strokey.
No, yeah, the fingers are more or less in a defined position, and there's like a little bit of sort of flicking, a bit of plucking, but it's down and up.
Yeah. Well, good. Well, I did want to get to that because it is a remarkable feature, if nothing else, when you see it the first time. So now you're all forewarned not to stare at his hand because he likes to be private and confidential.
Yeah.
But the pizza finger, as we just saw it now. So we did come up with a name for your first album, and I forgot, or your next album, your third album, the Something Man. The
Disproportionate Man.
There we go.
That was it. Yeah.
So, those are not disproportionate.
It's
and even if they were, we would love you for it.
My hands and feet are disproportionately large for the size. So I'm only like 5'7", especially when I was younger as well. So you know how there's that one kid in school who's like really tiny and young looking. Like I was like his younger brother.
Everyone is size appropriate to me, John.
Fair enough.
I don't know what you're accusing me of here. I'm not sizist.
I am a little bit based on it. So I was 15 when I hit 5 foot. I was that kid. But then when I eventually started to sort of fill out a little bit, like I think my hands and feet sort of grew ahead of me. So I had like decent sized hands. Just on like
you have long
it
fingers.
was so I've got like quite long fingers. Yeah, and like I don't fit normal clothes and stuff. Like if I'm trying to buy something.
Well, we're
too
here to
wide and
support
too
you.
short.
We'd like you to feel good about all these things.
Thank you.
We're not standing or sitting in judgment. But thanks for doing this first part. So why don't we take a break? We can use a rest stop if we need to, or we can set you up. We've got some gear here. We'll see if you like it that way, or we'll adjust it. But you agreed to play a song, so I'm not twisting his arm. Do you still want to do that? Or?
Oh, yeah. Love to.
Okay, good. We'll get 15 songs, a couple hours.
Yes, 14. I'm only prepared for 14.
Okay, good. Franco, let's take a break. All right? Thanks.
Cool. Thank you.
Roman Anton Podcast, we're back here. We're going to have John Lindsay do 2 songs for us. We're going to have a Familiar Rush, and then We Could Be Laughing. So 2 songs from John Lindsay here for part 2 of the Roman Anton Podcast. So John, whenever you're ready, why don't you go ahead?
Well, even though
Would you just get bored? Let it slide on by, on to no one else. The familiar rush strips you of time, gobs you in smiling lies of how you'll try this time around. The familiar clutch, the tethers and hooks, the grasping is sudden to drag your feet back on the ground. Don't tell yourself you really tried to do all that was fair. Next time, look back on the lessons of the past. You know how it goes, it's all too clear. Shine too brightly, then burn out just quietly, pretending you couldn't have known. But you did all along. Then back again, you'll find yourself, my friend, singing alone in your sound. I know you too well.
Nice. That sounded great, John. Shit. Nice. You happy with that?
Yeah, I'll take that one.
Yeah, it's good.
There's a couple of things that I hear every single little like buzz or
Yeah.
whatever, but
Yeah.
it's character.
Yeah.
I've got better at just acknowledging that.
Yeah, no, we're that's a triumphant gladiatorial homecoming around the racetrack we talked about in this studio.
Yeah.
Because I'm the guitar player, I'm a mess. Shit. 20 mistakes a song is my expected
Yeah.
return.
Yeah, I'll try a brand new one as well.
Wait, I am changing.
Oh yes, sorry.
Yeah, good. No, that was great. I hope our setup is comfortable. But yeah, it's just a good. It's just the bridge is, and the bending and the descending that you just nicely done. It's
Yeah.
just a good. It's
Okay,
a great.
good.
Thank you.
Great opening song. You know, to me, it's the right choice. Even though I have more favorite songs, it's like the great opening song.
It was a throwaway song actually to start with. I wrote it and I wasn't sure about it, and then I played it live, and then people liked it. So
The bridge is just scintillating, right? It gets you almost weepy on your seat.
Yeah.
You're not even sure what you're being told, but it's just like.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you, I appreciate it. Yeah, this is another one. We'll see how this one comes out, because
Okay.
I like to slightly, because this is quite a closed room. That's always in my head as well. So this might be a quieter version.
Okay. What is the name of this song?
This one is called "We Could Be Smiling."
We Could Be Smiling off of As of Yet Unreleased.
As of yet unreleased.
Okay.
This is, I think, the first recording that's
Alright.
ever going to be made of this song.
Right on. It's 2024.
All right.
Take your time.
Would you search yourself to search for me, and hope to find me smiling? Would you believe me if I told you that sometimes, well actually I'd been crying? Would you think it might be fair to let it go? Or is there something that's making you keep so tight a hold? Soon we might be laughing. Eroding beneath the cracks that I've always shown. We'll just ignore it. Shaking beneath familiar weight, not sure how to support it. It's easier to grasp at air as though you couldn't help it, than to clamber on and dig in footholds that could prevent it. It's a shame, 'cause you know we could be laughing. It's a shame, 'cause you know we could be laughing. Cheers, yeah. That's one of the new ones.
Yeah. What did you call it again?
We Could Be Laughing.
Jeez. Well, I've never heard anything like that. I've never heard picking like that.
It was yeah, I discovered it by accident, just like that. And it's like, oh shit, like.
But you do the grace note there too, and it's just different.
Yeah. But then, you know, I got into so that came from a cover. Do you know Trampled by Turtles? They're sort of a kind of bluegrass kind of band, but they got a song called Midnight on the Interstate, and it's gorgeous. And I tried to cover that song, and I sort of did the guitar wrong. Basically, I did like my own little bit of guitar on it, and then I thought, oh, this is really good. And that's where I wrote The Fun We Had. And then I thought, you know, I'm going to recover the song in a different way.
Right.
And then like, this came out, and I started playing like that. So wait, I'm not wasting this guitar on a cover. So then I wrote this song based on that. There's recently most of the songs I've been writing have come from covers that I've then twisted into like
All right. Well, we are at the House of Tri, TRI,
That's the one.
in Bangkok, Thailand. What is this? Is this Ekkamai?
This is Ekkamai, yeah.
Soi 65.
65, yeah. Next one over from Ekkamai.
Okay, so Sukhumvit Soi 65. So we're on Sukhumvit 20 for those of you coming to town. But when I asked you places to go, you wanted to go to Fatty's to go see our friend Matt, and I said, we've been there before on the Roman Anton Podcast. Do you have another place? And you immediately said the House of Tri.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Because I really like the venue. So I wanted Fatty's first of all because it's sort of the most musically significant to me. It's my living room basically as well. I pitched Speaker Box as well as another place that I really like playing. I think it's a really good venue. I love what they're doing. But I think you've been there before as well.
Yep.
So I was trying to think of other places that are musically significant. But I've been out of town for a while as well and sort of readjusting and finding new places. And Jam, which has just reopened, which I'm really happy about, that was shut as well. Yeah, so this place, I played here a couple of months ago, and it was a really nice spot. I just really liked the whole setup of it. I like the glass of the iron, the leafiness. The sound is really good. It's particularly for what I do. I think if you want a nice intimate venue, like this could be a really nice intimate show.
Yeah.
Sort of a Sofa Sounds kind of feel to it.
Looks very cool. From the outside, it seems like a wooden house.
Yeah.
But inside, these are huge rooms. This is a very big room we're in, and we walked through another large room. We'll get some photos of that. But you played here, you mic'd up, or did you, I would assume you had a mic?
Yeah, no, mic'd up.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was a great show. So I think Matt was playing that night as well, as was Rob Saltzman. Narrative Death opened up, and Gate was accompanying him with the saxophone as well.
Do you stand or sit when you play?
Depends how I'm feeling. Sometimes I like a sit. I think generally I prefer to stand because, like, say if I want to sing something that's a little bit louder, or it can open up your voice a bit more.
Yeah.
But then sometimes I do like a sit. So like the album launch show that I did in Liverpool before I left there, so I sat for that one because that was, like, I'm not a man for like the big band blowout shows. So what I did was an audience with John Lindsay. So I sat on the stage. It was a small little crowd, and it wasn't me on the stage performing at them. It was more of a two-way thing.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's nice to have. I like the audience interaction, like a bit of stage chat. If I'm playing something a little bit calmer, sometimes it's nice to do a calmer set sitting down. Yeah, in here I sat down. I think, but it was more the room for it.
Yeah, interesting. Do you make eye contact and look at people, or are you gone? Are you checked out?
I have certain empty spaces I like to look in.
Okay.
Every now and then I will make eye contact and I'll just feel weird. It depends what part of the song it's in as well. And I want to stop the song, like, this isn't about you. Right. But I just happen to catch it. I still get awkward over the eye contact.
And do you have a narrative? I wrote this song because, or no talking?
I used to be no talking. So I used to just be, I think Liverpool trained me in being able to speak to the audience a little bit more. So these days I'll talk, I'll have a lot of chat in between. Every now and then I'll just stop and tell a joke, like an unnecessarily long joke in between my set, which maybe doesn't do a lot for the flow of it. But
like there once was a man from Trent who got up and, like a limerick or a story?
It's like story, more like story based, or I'll just go off on a little roundabout and like, this is written because of this song, and this and this, and then just complain about this and that. And so I have had feedback before. That it's entertaining, and so if in between my songs, if I can entertain people, then that's all right. Especially because some of my songs are a bit more downbeat as well. So if they can laugh in between, or I don't know, just get a feel for me, as it were, because all my songs they're very personal. So if you can get a feel more for me and what I'm like, then I guess that helps with sort of coming across as genuine, which I'd like to do.
Okay, I'll take your word for it. So do you, if you see a friend in the audience, do you call them out by name, or is that outside of the appropriate interaction?
No, sometimes I do, yeah.
Matty boy, or hey, Jerry,
yeah.
okay.
Or I mean, when I played here, there weren't very many of us, but I like calling out individuals sometimes,
Okay.
depending on what I'm going to say about them.
So do you know what is the House of Try?
No, is the short answer. I feel like I've had it explained to me, but I don't know.
All right, we're going to have to get that figured out.
Get the inside info.
Do you know the owner or manager?
Briefly, so I was introduced to this place by a friend who knows the manager, and so when we checked if it's all right to film here, I contacted Gate, who contacted, so we've been around.
Okay.
But I recognise the people working here. I
Okay.
do recognise. It's nice that they recognise me as well.
Good. Anyone you can shout out, or any names, the managers, or no? House of Try on Sukhumvit Soi 65.
House of Try. For now, we'll go House of Try.
Probably best to come here by taxi. It's a narrow street, but there's lots of parking out in the front if you drive here. But it's one of those narrow streets that it's probably better to have someone else driving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But cool little spot. It reminds me a bit of Jam, actually.
Yeah.
In that Jam is like down that awkward little side soy and everything. Cool spot. If you want to do a quiet.
Much bigger than Jam, though.
Much bigger than Jam, yes.
1,000% bigger. So they serve food here in the evening?
They do, yeah. So, I wasn't sure what's, again, because only coming here once.
They have the kitchen and stuff. So you can bring people down and it looks like you could spend a good long time here. There's food and drink, a nice street, quiet.
Yeah.
Little patio out front there, sort of cool.
Yeah, no, so it's nice. It's nice to be in here. Like, it's a good space for if you want like a smoke or a chat outside as well. It's a very nice little spot. I'd like to play here a lot more.
Yeah. So what's your playing schedule the next couple months? Do you have gigs lined up or no?
Not strictly, no. So Eddie Meller got in touch with me recently, asked if I want to do a monthly thing at Speakerbox.
Nice.
Which would be nice. My problem, something I'd like to do a bit more, is reach out to venues and try and arrange to get on, rather than what I'm doing now, which is just sort of wait around, then every now and then someone will ask me if I want to do a show.
Yeah, I understand.
I need to be a bit more proactive. I need to do all the musician-y things that aren't just writing the songs and playing the songs.
I didn't mean to tell you what you're not doing by
but I do know it. And this is me sort of coaching myself, as it were.
All right, I'll cheer you on. Go.
Cheers.
Yeah, I'd like to see you playing around. Well, good. Anything else you want to say about the House of Try, or if I give it enough information to people who come into town?
I think, no, so far it's good. I think you have to just sort of come here. So, I mean, you can see it on the camera and everything, but it's just got a really nice feel to it.
All right. We'll post
Cozy
some
vibe.
Facebook and Instagram stuff if we can find it. I'm sure we can. But look, it was a pleasure having you on the show. I appreciate your playing. I appreciate you playing the extra song. I hope we can put it in. I hope we can edit that up if we need around the edges. But it's been a pleasure meeting you.
Yes, I've really enjoyed it as well.
All right. Thanks. Thank you, Franco. Let's shut it down. Figure out that.
Yeah, so all I can do is just like little bits that I learned from guitar, so I can do like chords and a little bit of the right hand. Or,
One, two, three, quiet.